All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to tackle a really fascinating philosophical puzzle from a text by Zhu Feng, and it all revolves around one single, very powerful idea about what it means to be right.
Okay, let's just dive right in with this one. This isn't just some clever little saying. It's the core idea for this entire explainer. And, it's designed to make you question everything you think about judgment and truth. So, to get us started, the author throws this really radical idea at us that from a huge cosmic perspective, the very concept of wrong might not even exist. Let's see how they build that case. It all starts with a classic little logic puzzle. Look, from one angle, a white horse is a specific thing, right? It's not the same as the general concept of horse. But from another angle, it's obviously a horse. Both statements can be true. See? It all just depends on how you're looking at it. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. This same logic gets applied to human actions. Building a house gives someone shelter. That's correct. But what if you demolish a house to build a park or a hospital? That's also correct. Two opposite actions can both be completely justified. And this logic gets pushed even further, right into the super complicated world of politics. The text suggests that, from their own internal logic and the role they play in history, different systems of government can both be seen as correct in their own time and place.
This whole idea makes even more sense when you step away from people entirely and just look at nature. Can we really say a cat is right and a mouse is wrong? Or that winter is wrong but summer is right? A fox eating a chicken isn't evil. It's just a fox being a fox. These things aren't right or wrong. They just are.
So, what's the big takeaway from this first part? It's basically this. Our concept of wrong is almost always just a product of our own super limited point of view. When we say something is wrong, what we're really saying is that it doesn't fit with how we see the world. Okay, but just when you're starting to get comfortable with that idea, bam, the author hits us with a massive contradiction. If there's no such thing as wrong, then how do you explain the thousands of years of very real, very undeniable human suffering?
And this is the big pivot in the whole argument. The text says, in a universe with no inherent wrong, humanity has somehow, collectively, still managed to go down a fundamentally wrong path.
And the evidence for this, it's not about what we do, it's about how we feel. The author points to our constant state of suffering. All the worry, the pain, the anxiety, the fear. These feelings are presented as proof that our whole way of life is just off.
So the conclusion here is pretty blunt, actually. Our thinking, our values, our entire understanding of how to live, it's all been on the wrong track.
And this just makes the paradox even deeper, right? Because if our entire way of thinking is flawed, then everything that comes out of that thinking is also flawed. Our judgments about what's right and wrong are themselves wrong because they're coming from inside this broken system.
So what do we do with this? How can a universe have no wrong, but humanity be completely wrong? Well, the text says the only way out is to completely rethink what right even means.
Which, of course, leads to the big question. In this ocean of wrongness, is it even possible for anyone, or anything, to be right? And the answer is a surprisingly firm yes. But what's right isn't a person, it's not a belief system, it's not a set of actions. It's something totally different.
And boom, here it is. This is the absolute heart of the message. Being right isn't about having the correct opinion or making the correct judgment. It's an internal state of being. To be right is to be free from suffering. Simple as that.
Okay, so with this powerful new definition in hand, we head into the final and honestly pretty mind-bending conclusion of this whole thing, a paradox that just keeps looping back on itself.
So first, the author turns this logic right back on themselves. By the very act of sitting here and analyzing right and wrong, they're engaging in the kind of thinking that comes from that wrong circle. So, by their own rules, they have to be wrong too.
But then, here comes the twist. Just by being aware of that, by recognizing their own flaw, they've stepped outside the circle. That self-awareness, that humility to admit you're wrong, is actually a quality of being right.
And just like that, the loop closes. The very second you think to yourself, aha, I get it now, I'm right, that feeling of certainty, of correctness, is exactly what throws you back into being wrong.
Which brings us full circle, right back to where we began. But now this sentence feels totally different, doesn't it? It's not just a clever line anymore. It's describing a trap, a constant cycle we can fall into, the trap of our own certainty. So in the end, the real point here isn't about finding the right answer. Maybe the true path is to just let go of that desperate need to be correct in the first place and free ourselves from all the anxiety that comes with it.
And that leaves us with one last, really challenging question to think about. If being certain that you're right is the actual problem, then how are we supposed to live? What does a good life even look like if you don't have that compass of certainty to guide you?
Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the philosophy of correctness. We'll see you next time on The Explainer.